What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if we will get a new Prince of Persia game at Ubisoft Forward 2020. So this is part of my continued series talking about Ubisoft Forward. We talked about Splinter Cell. We've talked about Watch Dogs. I want to talk about Skull and Bones actually tomorrow, and now it's Prince of Persia's turn. So this is just a discussion if we'll see this game. What are things looking like with this game? And Prince of Persia is definitely an interesting one because much like, and I talked about this in that Splinter Cell video, much like Splinter Cell, this is a game that I feel like every year as we get closer to E3, now E3 obviously not happening this year, but every time we get close to a Ubisoft event, the rumor mill starts to, spread and starts to rolling on these games. Okay, everybody suddenly knows something about these games. One of these games is going to get announced. And for what it's worth, there is sometimes credibility, or you can believe why people would say this. In fact, and like I said, again, for Splinter Cell, Ubisoft themselves have said, like, hey, this is not a franchise that's done. Like, we know how important it is. And I believe they've spoken about Prince of Persia too. They know Prince of Persia is something that probably could work now. And I think, and again, like I said in that Splinter Cell video, I think both of these games are games that absolutely can work right now. Now, Prince of Persia, Splinter Cell actually I think could work better. Prince of Persia, I think because maybe too many people would consider it like a weird kind of like spin-off of like Assassin's Creed, which I could understand why it would get that. I think that would be a little tougher of a sell. However, what I will say is this year, going in, in 2020, we've had a lot in terms of Prince of Persia news. Now, I actually have a second channel. I've talked about it on the second channel. I've talked about it here. There's been a lot of different things in terms of domain names, in terms of there's a possible Twitter. Now, I think people have said the Twitter thing could definitely be fake, which I do agree, but there's maybe like a Twitter that's like a hidden Twitter user of the Prince of Persia account that's just not activated yet. So this year, it really seems to be the push on Prince of Persia. I think Prince of Persia has definitely gotten the more leaks, the more rumors that they're working on something. Again, I don't think it would surprise me all that much if we get these games. I think Prince of Persia, it's been long enough since Sands of Time. I think enough people want this game. It's not, just like Splinter Cell, I do think this, just like Splinter Cell, it's not a game I think that you would need to do a remaster or a remake. I think you could probably get away with doing a brand new game. Again, when you have remakes, when you have remasters, it is a test of, do these games work now? What people still want them? I think I don't know, maybe something about Ubisoft is what kind of screams it at me, that I don't think they would need to do something like that. You know what I mean? I feel like they could get a Prince of Persia game, a Splinter Cell game to sell now, even if it was just a brand new game in the franchise. You don't necessarily need to go backwards and remake or remaster something you've already done. You know what I mean? It's weird. I think some games do need that. Like a game like, for me, like a Sly Cooper. I actually think Sly could work in like a brand new Sly if you ever did that. But at the same time, I feel like the way that they're going, Sony is going, it would probably make more sense to remake it or remaster it first and then do a new one, just because of the general landscape of things. So we'll have to see. But with Prince of Persia, I think it's possible. I think it's just as possible as Splinter Cell. Now, what I will say to kind of give you my formal prediction here, I only think one of these ends up happening. I said this at the end of the Splinter Cell video, so I'll say it again here. Ubisoft tends to announce or tends to talk about at these E3s things that are coming relatively soon. Okay, they're not ones. Now, I will go to some exemptions to this, but they're not ones to talk about games that are way in the future. Now, you could say, well, Beyond Good and Evil 2. That's a good example. That is I think the exception to it. I think that is the one that I think you can do something where you announce a game that is a couple years away to kind of give people, maybe even to give yourself brownie points that, like, hey, we know you guys like this. We know this is something you guys really, really want. So just so you know, we're working on it. So I do think they can do one or two of them. But really, in my opinion, I think we only get one. We know there's a lot of games from Ubisoft coming in the near future. We know that they're going to focus on that. They're really going to focus on those games, mainly Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed is going to be that main push. So we'll have to see if they're willing to do a game that is further out. Because if there is, and this is what I've said in the videos talking about the leaks and rumors of these games, if there is a Splinter Cell, if there is a Prince of Persia, it can't come out before March. March, we already know, up until March, the end of March of 2021, we know the games that are coming out by Ubisoft, okay, with Far Cry 6 being that last one. It could come out after April through, the end of 2021. That's definitely possible, but we know the games that are within, like, the closest to us. I don't know how much they would go into the games that are further out, because you do have 6, 7. You could have DLCs to some of them. So you have a really solid amount of games you have to talk about right now, games that are coming out within the next 6, 7, 8 months that you have to focus on right now versus games that are coming out further away. Again, though, with next gen, it does offer them the possibility that they could say, hey, we're going into next gen. We have all these, and even look at what EA did. EA did this with EA Play Live. They had that kind of tech demo where they showed like 2.5 seconds of Dragon Age. They showed like 2.5 seconds of Battlefield. But pretty much, I mean, they probably wouldn't have normally. Now they have done those things actually in the past where they've kind of had the studios, and you see that the studios are like working on things. Like, yeah, we've seen that, but they use that as an opportunity to say, hey, next gen consoles, very, very powerful. We're working on all these different things for next gen, and so let's show you a very, very quick like tech demo of some of these games we're working on. I think a lot of the companies could do the exact same thing. I think Ubisoft could do the exact same thing too, and say, hey, we have some studios that are making games. They're not going to be out for 2, 3 years, possibly they could, like, or 1, 2 years, however you want to do it. But we want to show you just a little bit in terms of the technology of what they're doing, and maybe that's how we get it. But I if you had to ask me, so my prediction, I think Splinter Cell is more likely, weirdly enough, even though Prince of Persia has been leaked and talked about more in 2020. I just feel like it's more Splinter Cell's time than Prince of Persia, and I mean, that's just my opinion. That's just a kind of thought I'm going based off of. I have gotten predictions wrong in the past, but if you had to ask me, am I expecting Prince of Persia? No, I would not say I'm expecting Prince of Persia this upcoming Sunday. Would I be shocked if they announced it? No, I think I'd be like, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense, right? That's something that we thought could definitely happen. So we'll have to see, but I would say if I had to pick one of the two, Splinter Cell or Prince of Persia, and although they are very different games with their own different they have their own, history, with both of them, I do think they are connected in this way where they are kind of similar in they may only be able to announce one of them. They do have the same, like, it's been long enough. We want sequels for both of them. It makes sense for next gen, but I think it just makes a little bit more sense for Splinter Cell versus Prince of Persia. But guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think we'll be getting a new Prince of Persia game at Ubisoft Forward 2020? What else do you think is going to be there? Like I said, I've made a couple videos already on Ubisoft. I'm going to be continuing it over this week, talking about a couple more specific games, and then I'll do an overall predictions video later on this week, just one final video talking about it, and then I'll have tons of videos when Ubisoft Forward actually happens. Okay, so lots of videos coming. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed and have that bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you guys in all these future Ubisoft videos.